ladies and gentlemen. How can you hear me? Okay, I think you listen me now. You can see streamity.org as decentralized cryptocurrency exchange. So today we have some market summary, market review. And first of all, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. To do this, you should click subscribe to the below the video. And don't forget to click the bell to always be aware of new streams and video by Streamity channel. Okay, first of all, I started with some news, maybe some not good news, and before this, some good news for the cryptocurrency market. And after that, we summarize some main cryptocurrency, main altcoins, and some gainers. So first of all, it's very interesting news about for the ex-head of CFTC, this funny man. The news for NewYorkTimes.com, and he said about trade in tokens Ethereum and Ripple can't violate United States laws. It's very important statement, I think. And what about this situation for we know in April 22nd. So former top manager of the investment bank Goldman Sachs and former head of the United States Future Trading Commission CFTC, and now chief financial officer of the Hillary Clinton campaign, Gary Gensler, said that the largest cryptocurrencies, Ethereum and Ripple, after Bitcoin, could have been issued in violation of United States legalization in the field available papers. So this is reported by the New York Times with reference to his speech at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Gensler stressed so much indicates that Ethereum and particularly Ripple are unregistered securities. Really interesting statement, I think. So the Ethereum Foundation sold the first ETH tokens in 2014 before the launch of the core network, which could affect the decision of regulators and to recognize these tokens as securities. In turn, the head of the Ethereum Foundation, Aya Miyaguchi, argues that the organization doesn't control either the supply on the market or the issue and has less than 1% of all existing tokens. So according to the publication, representatives of the Security and Exchange Commission in private conversations mentioned that they consider the probability of recognition of Ethereum as a security. But if Ethereum situation is extremely uncertain, then for Ripple everything is much more complicated, says Gensler. He said Ripple Labs still controls most of the tokens and does everything necessary to ensure that its blocking solution and tokens retain their value. So the project speaker noted that the XRP tokens are not shares in the company Ripple or dividends. Tom Chenik, it's Ripple speaker, said XRP existed before the creation of the company and will exist after. So Gensler in the end convinced that the block technology will be introduced into the financial system but for this they must strongly change and many digital currency in his opinion. So will supply case to exist. So I think it's a very important statement for the Mr. Chenik and Mr. Genster, I think. Next interesting news about Ethereum. It's about the trust nodes resource, about the failure of EIP 999. The Ethereum community refused to unblock 350 million in parity wallets. I think you heard about the story. Maybe still 3 or 4 months before waiting about many conversation about this problem. So Ethereum community representatives voted against the unblocking of 513,000 ETH. It's near $350 million as of on party wallets with a multi-signature that were frozen as a result of vulnerability in the smart contract. It is a smart contract. It's a lot of some numbers, some symbols. So the vote was attended by 4 million ETH, of which 2 million and 2.2 of it, it's 55% voted against changes in the main protocol Ethereum, and 39%, it's near 1.5 million, then locking of funds. At the same time, 2000 took a neutral position of the issuer. It should be noted that it lasts 10 minutes before the end of the vote for 120,000 ETH voted, but this didn't affect the outcome of the will. Also, over the past week, the proponents of the proposed parity EIP 999 were able to tip the scale to their side. So AIP 999 was intended to introduce changes to the basic protocol Ethereum, which would allow the reservation of contracts they committed suicide. And what about Ethereum? Price Ethereum meanwhile shows as an upward moments, and now we have $702 for 1 ETH, about 10% for the last 24 hours. It's a very good result. Next news, very interesting about and called a very interesting name, destroyed Bitcoin. At the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, there was 3 ways to neutralize the industry flagship. So technologyview.com about let's destroy Bitcoin. So what about the story? The MIT Technology Review at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology published an article titled Let's Destroy Bitcoin, which presents 3 ways to eliminate the first cryptocurrency. So according to the analysts, to the publication, the creation of a national digital currency on the basis of the Federal Reserve System, the so-called Fed coin, will lead to the displacement of Bitcoin. In the Fed coin, blockchain certificate trusted financial institutions such as JP Morgan Chase and Bank of America will act as authorized nodes, which will replace the model of P2P networks. Let's say in the distant future, but you still have to pay taxes. Only now you don't fill in an declaration because the special algorithm writes out the necessary amount from your electronic wallet in Fedcoin equivalent, the article says. So this concept was described by the researcher at the Fed in St. Louis by David Andolfato and supplanted by Bachelor of Yale University Sahil Gupta. The latter is convinced that the digital currency behind which the central bank stands can make the payment network of the black room much more efficient and faster, while significant funds will be saved. And in addition, the Canadian Central Bank in 2016 has developed a simulation of such a system on the blockchain Ethereum in order to access to the feasibility and prospects of this line of business. And as you remember about Facebook attack, Facebook is the largest social network in the world. The monthly audience of active users of which exceeded 2 billion people. Like Telegram, the company can decide to issue its own digital currency or go in a more insidious way, create a Bitcoin wallet for each others. All users of Facebook will be rewarded in Bitcoin for viewing advertising content, or they will be able to use a social network in an ad-free mode if they allow the company to use the computing powers of its computers for mining the first cryptocurrency. And this material says if the company can convince most of the Bitcoin users and miners to use a special Bitcoin client from Facebook, then the social network will be able to set the rules of the game and as a result will turn Bitcoin into corporate version of Fedcoin. And in the end, for this topic, the flow of new cryptocurrency, creating a lot of new digital currencies for each individual case, buying a phone from a certain company, car products in a particular store, and paying for core service according to the analyst of the publication. I will make Bitcoin insignificant. Moreover, many companies are already busy creating their own tokens, which indicates that this scenario is being implemented today. So, in this case, I think the obvious advantage of Bitcoin will be the anonymity and impossibility of censorship. Also, according to Edward Snowden, the United States National Security Agency (NSA) is already closely involved in identification of Bitcoin user. So representatives of the publication are convinced that if the company currency is widely used in the future, it is the masses and not the early adherents of Bitcoins who will determine the future of the first cryptocurrency and modify the version of Satoshi Nakamoto. And a couple news for I think positive about some financial institutes. I mean JP Morgan, and then news about Goldman Sachs. So JP Morgan testing the possibilities of quorum blocking for operations with securities. So the American financial holding JP Morgan Chase and National Bank of Canada and a number of large companies have tested the capabilities of the quorum block platform, Reuters reports. So the object of the experiment was a Yankee CD with a floating rate of 150 million issued by NBC. So also in the testing where Goldman Sachs Asset Management, Pfizer Incorporation, Legg Mason Incorporation, Western Assets, and other well-known companies investing in certification of deposit. David Fairlock, Senior Vice President of Artificial Intelligence and Blockchain of NBC, noted that distributed registered technology can cause major changes in the financial service market. So, work of the corporate-oriented project Quorum began in 2016. This block platform is designed to improve the efficiency of certain types of banking operations, including clearing, derivatives, settlements, and cross-border payments. And thanks to the partnership with the Zcash team in October 2017, the security protocol with zero disclosure ZSL was integrated into Quorum's blockchain. Based on this cryptographic protocol Z10 SNARK, the code encrypts all information about the transaction in the Quorum block system, including the public key and the transfer amount, but leaves a room for auditing. And interesting thing about Goldman Sachs hired a trader to handle the cryptocurrency markets. So a press secretary for the leading investment bank Goldman Sachs confirmed that the organization hired trainee and a graduate of the again Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Justin Schmidt, to the post of the vice president and head of the department for digital asset markets within the security division of the bank. And the press secretary of the bank said, our customers are interested in various digital assets, so we're studying all possible options for providing security in the area. At the moment, we haven't developed the final format of our offer in the industry. And the main task of Schmidt will be the study of possible interaction of Goldman Sachs with the cryptocurrency market, and also probably as a launch of its own off-exchange platform for digital asset trading. And very interesting statement, the bank stressed that is his position Schmidt wouldn't trade any assets including cryptocurrency, so only manage, not trade, because I think it's a lot of work for Mr. Schmidt, and he hasn't enough time for crypto trading. Last market review, if you remember, we talking about CBOE, and today we have some news for CoinDesk about CBOE proposed to change the price step of Bitcoin failures. I think we know about we have some futures from the CBOE markets, and interesting news about this for after 1st May we have new step. So management direction of the Chicago Option Exchange, Matthew McFarland, in a written appeal of the United States Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, noted that likely change in the price of the Bitcoin futures price from $10 to 5 points. So a step will be $5 after 1st May. This will have a positive effect on the XBT futures market, said Mr. McFarland. And the proposed change will not affect the spread transaction, in which investors acquire or sell two different contract simultaneously, but only those who acquire one contracts to put on a specific development of events. And again, McFarlane said the CBOE is confident that the amendment will bring benefits to the public and market participants. Our SME group published the first report of Bitcoin futures, from which is became known as the large speculators purchased 1,077 contracts for Bitcoin and sold 1,350 15 at the same time. The number of short positions exceeded the number of long by 46%. It should be noted that among small speculators, the number of long exceeded the number of short positions by 66%, and the ratio of purchase contracts to sell contracts in 600 to 361 representatively. So what about what's the step? Yes, is what's the price step in the futures market? So it's a minimum price change in the price step. It's the minimum allowable fluctuation in the futures contract price stipulated in the legal document known as the contract. Maybe you never traded by CBOE, but in the futures we have some price step. It's some minimal price. So after 1st May it will be $5, not $10 like today. So, and what about cryptocurrency? What about altcoins? Very interesting news and a very interesting situation was a few days ago, not few days ago, last month, on Thursday, April 19th. It's news about Litecoin. So our daily chart. So 19 this day. So on Tuesday, April 19th, a transaction was made between the anonymous member of the Litecoin network for 700,000 LTC. It's currently $106 million. So a major transaction was actively discussed by Reddit users. It's noteworthy that the confirmation of the transaction took only 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and the network commission was only 40 cents. It's amazing. And the foremost user noted that within the transaction financial system, such an operation would take several days at best, and many parties would have to sign the deal, while the commission would be more than impressive. And in addition, participants in the transaction would also face significant difficulties in implementing an international transfer of 99 million, which would take much longer than the domestic one. So now we can see very nice move. Let's see, maybe 1 hour chart. So yesterday we have some good support near $150, and maybe 16 hours ago, Litecoin and other altcoins were a very huge move, and now the price of Litecoin $63. I remind you, a couple week we had some minimum $110, so huge move. And next, interesting information about, I think you could see a large move for the Bitcoin Cash. It's daily chart, and it's 30 minutes. So the Bitcoin Cash BCH, it's very long story about Bitcoin Cash reached a 10-week maximum, and the Bitcoin Cash BCH created as a result of the hard currency in August 2017, as you remember. Rose on Monday night, Tuesday night, above 1,400. Thus reaching the market on which it last traded in the first decade of February. So only in the last 24 hours, the price of the cryptocurrency has grown by more than 15% to reach an accretion point of 100 and 400, with a capitalization of now capitalization of BCH 25 billions. It's a huge capitalization. So the current growth of Bitcoin Cash occurs if of the network protocol upgrade scheduled for May 15th, after which the block size will be increased to 32 megabyte. In addition, an additional catalyst for growth was the news that payment processing BitPay added support for BCH in its POS application. And this means that stories that the BitPay processing to receive payments in cryptocurrencies can now generate payment codes for receiving BCH directly on the spot with mobile devices. But in general, Bitcoin Cash became the absolute leader among the top 20 of the top 20 in the coin market cap rating over the last 7 days, rising 70% of the week, maybe 80% of the week. So nevertheless, the centralized nature of the development of the BTH protocol and the new controversial statements of the chief ideologist of the Roger Vera project continued to be heavily criticized by the wider cryptocurrency community. So on Saturday, Roger Vera started that BCH in the same Bitcoin that they used since 2011. Among the many critical responses to the statement, one can highlight the replica of the direction for Blockstream strategy Samson Moyer, who suggested that Vera conduct a simple experiment. Download any Bitcoin client released in 2011, synchronize with the network, generate a new address, and send all these coins of the BCH. Then tell the community now how it worked. I think very interesting experiments, and so let's see. I think in the near future we have some result. So what about Bitcoin? Now we have 9,384.86 dollars per one Bitcoin, and now we near the high 9,425 the high is near. So on the night on Tuesday, so return to this morning, the price of the first cryptocurrency rose above very important resistance 9,000 and 9,200. Thus renewing the 6 weeks maximum. The last time on this market, Bitcoin, according to the data of CoinMarket, was traded on March 14, so 1.5 months ago. The weighted average rate of BTC was 9,200. However, of number of exchanges, it rose above 900 and 4,000. Thus is the last 20 hours trading on Monday, mainly in the near 900 area. Bitcoin has risen in price by almost 4% for the period of 7 last days. This indicated was 14%. And I also note that the cumulative market capitalization of the cryptocurrency has risen again above above 400 billion, but the Bitcoin dominates index. It's still all around 37%. Amount coins from the top 20 of CoinMarketCap, we can see for the last 24 hours Bitcoin cash and 70%, showed by the biggest grown over the last 20 hours, which continues to grow rapidly and has already stepped EOS, Dash, Ethereum Classic, and Tron. It's a huge move about Tron. It's, I think, very prospects. Altcoin. So in general, in the green zone is the vast majority of the most liquid altcoins, confirming the prevalent bullish sentiment in the market. So as you remember, I think we all remember about EOS. As you remember, it's magnificent. Our last meeting, we have the situation near the $9.20, and now we have near the $15. Huge move. We traded the situation and we take our profit near the $11, but now it's $15. EOS is the best cryptocurrency last couple week. Magnificent move, and I think it's not end. So what about Bitcoin? We told about XRP. It's Ripple. Yes, we had some not good news, but I think in the near future, if we will have some growth for Bitcoin and reach 10,000, I think Ripple reach $1 and above this price. And XMR, do you remember I said last week, we had some birthday of XMR and we have some 50%, yes. I mean this entry point 200 birthday of XMR, and now near the 50%. It's amazing. So very interesting situation about cryptocurrency market. Some bullish sentiment, and in this week I see a positive view, and I think we have 10,000 in the maybe few days. Why not? But remember, for the very interesting resistance, I think 10,000 and next multi top near the 11,000, but it's not easy to reach this price. So time will tell. So guys, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. To do this, you should click subscribe to the below the video. So don't forget to click the bell, and you'll always be aware of new streams and videos. So if you have any question, please leave them in the comments, and I see you next week. Great week, guys, and take your profits. Bye.